Democracy. The idea that power should lie in the hands of the people, that governments should be accountable, and that citizens should have the right to free and fair elections. Let's delve into 15 countries where democracy is either non-existent or highly compromised. North Korea. Often considered the epitome of an authoritarian regime, North Korea is ruled by the Kim dynasty, which holds absolute power over the state. Despite a facade of elections, the country is controlled by a totalitarian regime, where citizens have no real say in governance and dissent is brutally suppressed. China. China, led by the Communist Party of China, CPC, operates under a one-party system where elections are limited to party members. Political dissent, freedom of speech, and democratic rights are heavily restricted. While there is local voting, higher-level decisions are made by the central party and opposition is not tolerated. Saudi Arabia. As an absolute monarchy, Saudi Arabia is ruled by the Al Saud family. The king holds immense power, and political parties are banned. Although the country has held municipal elections, it is far from the democratic process expected in many other nations. The royal family's decisions dominate the political landscape. Russia's so-called democracy is heavily controlled by President Vladimir Putin, who has been in power for over 2 decades. The country holds elections, but these are often marred by allegations of fraud, suppression of opposition, and a tightly controlled media. Critics and opposition leaders face imprisonment or exile. Iran has a unique political system where a supreme leader who holds significant power coexists with an elected president. However, the influence of the clerics and the unelected bodies severely restrict the political process. Political opposition is harshly controlled, and the ruling regime is more focused on maintaining its grip on power than allowing real democratic reforms. Turkmenistan is ruled by an autocrat who controls nearly every aspect of public life. The country's elections are mere formalities, with the ruling regime ensuring that no opposition is allowed. The president's cult of personality is a central part of the state's ideology. Belarus. Often dubbed Europe's last dictatorship, Belarus is ruled by President Alexander Lukashenko, who has been in power since 1994. The political environment is highly repressive, with opposition parties and protests severely restricted. The elections are widely considered to be neither free nor fair. United Arab Emirates. The UAE is an absolute monarchy consisting of 7 emirates, each governed by its own monarch. While there is a federal national council, it is more of an advisory body, and political power remains in the hands of the royal families. Elections for the council exist, but they are limited to a small fraction of the population. Eritrea. Known as the North Korea of Africa, Eritrea has been under the authoritarian rule of President Isaias Afwerki since its independence in 1993. The country has not held elections, and political parties are banned. The government controls nearly every aspect of life, from the press to individual freedoms. Venezuela. Venezuela's government, under Hugo Chavez and his successor Nicolas Maduro, has veered into authoritarianism. Despite holding elections, the country has seen rampant fraud, the dismantling of democratic institutions, and the consolidation of power in the hands of the president. Opposition is marginalized, and the country faces severe political and economic crises. Cuba is governed by the Communist Party, with elections that are tightly controlled. While citizens vote for representatives, the ruling Communist Party determines all significant decisions, and opposition parties are not allowed. The government has a long history of suppressing dissent and restricting political freedoms. The government maintains an iron grip on political life, leaving little room for democratic participation. These 15 countries provide a stark reminder of the various ways in which democracy can be limited, sidelined, or completely absent. Whether through authoritarian rule, monarchy, or a single-party system, monarchy political power rests with a monarch or royal family. There may be limited democratic elements, but the ruler's authority is largely unchecked. Examples: Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, single-party states. A single political party controls the government, and all political opposition is banned or heavily restricted. Examples: China, Cuba, Vietnam. Citizens often live under constant surveillance and fear of punishment for dissent. Economic impact. Non-democratic regimes often experience economic stagnation or instability, as policies may be driven by the interests of the ruling elite, with little input from the broader population. Inefficient economic systems and corruption are common. Limited innovation, with censorship, lack of political plurality, and restricted freedoms, creativity, social progress, and innovation are often stifled. People may fear expressing new ideas or challenging the status quo. How non-democratic governments stay in power. Control of information. Governments in non-democratic regimes often maintain tight control over the media, ensuring that only the official narrative is broadcasted. This is done through state-run media, internet censorship, and propaganda. These regimes often maintain control through the military or police force, using intimidation, arrest, torture, and even execution to suppress opposition. While elections may take place, they are often manipulated to ensure the ruling party or leader remains in power. This can include voter suppression, election fraud, and the disqualification of opposition candidates. Non-democratic regimes often build a cult of personality around their leaders. This involves glorifying the leader through statues, murals, and propaganda, creating an image of an infallible and heroic figure. The global struggle for democracy. While many countries are still under non-democratic rule, there is a global push for democratic reforms, driven by civil society movements, international pressure, and growing demands for political rights and freedoms. Examples of countries that have transitioned from authoritarianism to democracy include South Africa, Myanmar, although recent setbacks occurred, and the former Soviet Union states. However, these efforts can be complex and have mixed results, especially when powerful states like China or Russia are involved. You can make a difference by sharing this knowledge, raising awareness, and supporting organizations that fight for democracy, equality, and the protection of fundamental freedoms around the world. Let's stand together, because every voice counts in the battle for a freer, more just world. Stay informed, speak up, share this story.